Welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the first part of, What If My Little Pony Meets Plants vs. Zombies? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of 111 Sega Sonic on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Beep 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 smash. Like most mornings, my day began with that accursed alarm clock. And just like every morning, I grabbed my wooden mallet and smashed it to pieces. After sluggishly rising to my feet, I swept the remains of the clock into my dustbin. I was too awake to go back to bed, so I went ahead and started the coffee maker. As the machine ran, I looked around my house. Something told me this would be a long, boring day. Ever since I defeated Dr. Zomboss, the leader of the zombies, things had been going really slow. I suspected he was faking his surrender, so I never stopped planting a defense every morning. But today, I was tired. What good is it preparing for nothing? I spotted the picture of my family on a shelf and lifted it. Not only did this picture bring good memories, but it also brought bad ones. I could remember that last time we had together, how we were just walking from the movies. We took a shortcut down an alleyway and a single tear rolled down my cheek. I could still remember that mugger's face when he shot my parents in cold blood. I grasped the picture tighter. Ever since then, I dedicated my life to end all crime and, no wait, that's Batman's edgy backstory. Or was it Superman's? Who cares? Ding! Ooh, my coffee's ready. I dropped the picture, allowing it to smash on the ground, and ran into my kitchen. I poured the coffee into my favorite mug. If zombie fighting was out of the question, what else was there? There had to be something to keep me from boredom, I just had to think. Maybe I could visit my neighbors and see if, no wait, they're all dead. I sighed and took a loud sip of my drink. I mean, Crazy Dave is still alive, but he is exactly what his name implies, a David. And nobody plays with a David. I started toward the living room. I could throw another party with the zombies. Except I trust them as far as I can throw them. I placed the empty mug on a coaster before plopping on the couch. Or I could just stare at the ceiling as I slowly drift into madness. This was definitely going to be one of those days. An hour later, I was still lying on that same couch doing the same thing. I was actually making good progress until I heard something beating at the window. It was probably Crazy Dave asking for more hot sauce, so I ignored it. But the noise only continued to grow louder and a lot more irritating. "Shut up, Dave!" I yelled. Apparently, whoever was knocking on my window decided to flip the entire house. I flew out of the couch and slammed into the wall. Sounds of shattering windows exploded throughout the house. I could hear the rushing winds as it passed through the broken windows. What's going on? My surprise was cut short as I saw the couch sliding toward me. I rolled out of the way as it smashed into the wall. After my narrow escape from being flattened, I attempted to stand. But the house jerked to another side, sending me sailing to the opposite wall. The house spun around and around without stopping. It was as if physics decided to take a nap. I found myself floating for a few seconds before slamming into another wall. Obtaining my balance was hard enough without having to dodge the flying furniture. Yep, something strange was going on. My hands desperately searched for something fixed to latch onto. After some time of being tossed around, they found themselves locked onto a doorknob. The door violently swung open as if to throw me off, but I held firm. I spotted a window to the side of me. Peering through it, I thought I could finally solve this mystery. But all I could see was the rushing wind. And strange enough, the wind was red. In fact, that was the only reason I could see it. After a while of staring and intense reasoning, I concluded. I'm in a tornado. It was impossible. Last I checked there wasn't a cloud in the sky this morning. There was another JRK, and I lost grip on the door. I found myself thrown to the ceiling, and then to the floor. After some time, I finally managed to stop landing on my face. If anything, I was grateful I didn't fly through any of the broken windows, but my stuff wasn't so lucky. Ah, not my almanac. I cried. For a moment, I had to forget my stuff. What was more important was surviving. After what seemed like an eternity, the tornado stopped as abruptly as it came. I was back on my floor, thank goodness. I punched the air. All right. I survived a tornado. I am awesome. I cheered. I started my first step forward, just as the house began plummeting. My ride hadn't ended. Everything started to float toward the ceiling. I felt weightless, the kind of feeling you'd get on a roller coaster. But this was no time to throw my hands in the air and scream. Making my way to the bedroom, I saw my mattress in midair. Well, here goes nothing. I floated above the mattress and braced myself. The house hit the ground with a loud thump and everything went black. Seconds later, I was still in darkness. For a time, I thought it was because I was unconscious. You could imagine my relief when I realized my eyes were simply closed shut. I slowly opened them. The room was dark, probably due to the power being knocked out. Some light managed to seep in through one of the windows, but that was all. I waited for my eyes to adjust before trying anything. But as I sat upright, a sense of fear crawled up my back. Questions like, where am I, and, what if Spain was in Greece, were ever present in my mind. I'd fought a zombie apocalypse and stumbled through time, but this was different. I was confused, scared, and alone. I sighed and rose to my feet. I asked for this, didn't I? I tempted fate, pushed it to its limit. Now I'm paying the price. I tried to add a positive spin on my situation. But for the life of me, I couldn't find one good thing about this. I mean, I didn't even know where I was. For all I knew, I could have landed right back where I started. I made my way toward the window, trying not to trip over anything, and looked out it. A forest? I said, quite surprised, that tornado carried me quite a distance. Between my house and the forest was a wide stretch of land filled with tornado debris and items from my house. I approached each of my windows to get a different perspective, but it was all the same. I was completely surrounded by thick trees. Already things were looking grim for me, but I wouldn't allow worry to consume me. I'm a survivor. I glared at improbability and spit in its mouth. I was going to use my resources and find a way out of here. First, the house was to be made whole again. Thankfully, the exterior of the house was still intact, save for the windows. I marched to my attic and opened a box containing spare bulletproof windows. Nothing will be able to get in here after a few minutes. After I was safely isolated, I began my work on the interior of the house. That involved picking up furniture, replacing anything broken, and fixing the electricity. The last one was a mystery to me, but I figured I'd get around to it later. At first look, the forest was intimidating. Sickly trees with warning branches and the gloomy grass all helped the spooky appearance. But after a couple of minutes, I was beginning to think this forest was all bark but no bite. Nothing posed a great threat, and I was starting to get used to it. I finally decided it was safe to start collecting some of the stuff that fell from the house. That was my first mistake. Ah, my almanac's safe, I said, lifting the book from the ground. Already had I made 10 trips to gather everything. Only 1 or 2 trips more and I'd have finished. But as I opened the book to inspect it, I heard a twig snap. Instantly, my survival instincts jumped to life as I threw a look behind me. From the corner of my eye, I spotted a green flash of fire from the darkness of the forest. Shortly after, a figure began to emerge from the bushes. I dashed for a nearby broom and pointed it at the creature. I'm begging you, don't come any closer. 'Cause I will viciously murder you with this broom. The figure ignored my warning, continued to move forward. My heart raced, but I continued to keep the menacing glare. I wasn't going to back down. The looming beast took a step into the light. Soon, its whole body was revealed by the sunlight. Is that a unicorn? I was right. In front of me was a living unicorn, but it wasn't exactly how I'd pictured it. For one, it was half my size and had a pink coat. Its purple mane was in the style of a human's. And its purple eyes were huge. This animal was by far the strangest thing I'd ever encountered. The curiosity was so interesting, that I barely noticed two others following the unicorn. One of the newcomers had wings folded at its sides. Its coat was cream and its mane, blue. The other was completely white, besides his big blue eyes. Its snout was much larger than the other two. And this one had no special features on its body. These cartoon horses didn't seem like they could hurt a fly. There was no need to be cautious. And right there, my defenses dropped along with my broom. With domestication in mind, I reached out my hand to pet the animals. But before I could make any progress, 2 more horses appeared. Then 5 more horses. Then 10 more came. I began to notice the dramatic increase in number, but only one thought crossed my mind. If I could tame them, I'll have a whole army. The horses just stared at me with blank expressions. For a while, none of them blinked. It was getting a little more than creepy. I looked behind me, expecting to be jumped from behind. Nothing. So what attracted these horses in the first place? As I turned around, I noticed that the horses had advanced. What? Their whole expression changed as their wide eyes glared at me. Mouths hanging open, they took another step. I took one look at their glazed eyes and knew they were out for blood. They began to crouch down, ready to jump any moment. I was beginning to panic. From the quick glance behind me, I understood that my house was a few yards away from me. But the door was on the other side. Assuming these horses were faster than me, that would be way too far for a mad dash. Every time the horses crept closer, I took a step back. The broom was just beside me, and the only option I had was to fight back. I went for the broom and grabbed it. At my sudden movement, a unicorn lunged at me and knocked me to the ground. My attacker hissed as its mouth stretched open. I kicked the unicorn off me as several more decided to join in. I managed to jump to my feet and keep them back. I fought ruthlessly, not sparing one from the repetitive whacking of the mighty broom. I repelled a zombie horde with nothing more than a wooden hammer. Taking these things was easy. That is until... Snap! The broom broke. Before I knew it, I was backed up against the wall. The surrounding horses stared at me with a threatening leer. The unicorn's horns glowed green as if they were charging something. Ha, neat trick. But I know a better one. I extended my arm and opened my hand. Instantly, a big glob of butter appeared in my palm. Get it? Before they could answer, I flung butter into their faces with deadly precision. Overwhelmed by butter, the horses retreated back into the darkness. Butter luck next time. I yelled after them. Well, that was over. I filled my arms with as much of my stuff I could find and stumbled into the house. As I locked the door, I slapped my forehead. Wait, I wanted to tame them. Not chase them away. Yes, I did realize that they were trying to kill me. But they were just animals. With the right amount of discipline, I could have them eating out of the palm of my hand. I never had a pet before, and it would be interesting trying to break them. I managed to make my way to a window without tripping over anything. Maybe one might come back, I hoped. But as I waited, I realized that probably wouldn't happen. I mean, I did destroy them with a simple broom. They'd have to be complete idiots to return. But as I began to turn my head, something caught my eye. 6 horses strolled toward my house. Were they really that dumb? I smiled and reached for my wooden mallet and shovel. This time, I'll have the advantage. Earlier, Princess Twilight and her friends trekked deeper into the ever-free forest. Traveling off-path, the ponies had to duck under low branches and trudge through piles of leaves and twigs. They ventured further into the forest than ever before. Yet, as they walked, they never encountered any of the ever-free creatures. Though the ponies were grateful for the lack of monsters, they were starting to get bored. Ugh! Rainbow Dash cried, throwing her hoof in the air. It's been a whole hour and still no excitement. We came here to investigate the tornado, Twilight reminded. Not to get any excitement. You'd think a lot of excitement would be involved considering where we are. We're tired enough without your complaining, Applejack said. I just want to get this over with so I can return to my farm. Why did we come here anyway? Rarity asked. I thought we agreed that tornado was nothing but a result of the Everfree's unnatural magic. Nothing more. Not even the Everfree could conjure something like this, Twilight explained. Tornadoes take a lot of planning and pegasi to create. This place is too random to do any of that. Then it was probably the Shadow Bolt's doing, Rainbow Dash countered. Remember, the greatest flyers of the Everfree? They did it. Problem solved. Twilight turned to Rainbow Dash. You do realize that group was just a projection created by Nightmare Moon to deceive you, right? Dash blinked. What? Twilight rolled her eyes. Look, Pegasi can't create red tornadoes. And why would a Pegasus summon a tornado all the way out here? Why would any pony summon a tornado here? Applejack asked. I'm tellin' you, we have nothing to worry about. Whatever that thing was, it doesn't matter. It could be nothing, Pinkie Pie said, or it could be the summoning of an insane warrior with an iced-over heart hidden behind a cheery exterior who'll trample any opposition in a mad escape for freedom with its infinite army. The group wore confused expressions as they stared at Pinkie. I don't think so, Twilight said. Look, the very fact Pinkie isn't vibratant like a rattler on a jackhammer is proof this is a wild goose chase, Applejack pointed out. But if you want to go running around solving mysteries, then I won't stop you. In fact, that's the only reason I agreed to come along. Twilight nodded. Thank you. I wish that at the end of this, we get to finally do something, Rainbow Dash said. I'd beg to differ, Rarity said. The fuss Twilight's making about this place has really done a number on my hoofacure. I can't wait to return home to the spa. Whatever it is, Twilight said, it's on the other side of these bushes. The ponies stopped immediately, surprised by the sudden warning. In front of them was a batch of tall, thick bushes blocking the path. Really? Rainbow Dash asked, somewhat hopefully. How do you know? Ever since we started this trip, there's been a weak pull of magic guiding me to the location. If I'm not mistaken, the source of that power is here. The team glanced at each other. Whatever you say. They stepped forward and separated the bushes, prepared for the worst. Past the bushes was a large opening with twigs and branches scattered everywhere. But the thing that shook their expectations to the core was the object in the center. It's a house. Rainbow Dash said. We came all this way for a house. To think I was looking forward to this. It can't be just a house, dear, Rarity said. I mean, a normal house can't create magic tornadoes. Or can it? Pinkie Pie said. No Pinkie, it can't, Applejack said. I hate to tell you, I told you so. Twilight ignored her friends and began to examine the strange house. It looked like an ordinary house of Ponyville. But it was made of concrete instead of wood, like in Manhattan. Instead of hay, the roof was checkered with bricks, as well as the base of the house. As she inspected the place, she heard a sharp cry from one of her friends. Twilight whipped around and spotted Fluttershy cowering behind her. Fluttershy? What's wrong? Twilight asked. Fluttershy feebly pointed toward the window. THTH there. The ponies looked where she pointed and saw the window but nothing else. Did you see some pony in there? Rainbow Dash flew toward the window and pressed her face against it. It's too dark to see anything clearly, but I think there's furniture. Of course. Something must live in a house like that. Twilight said. If whatever made that tornado is in there, it must be some powerful wizard. I wonder, why would it create a tornado of such degree? We could wait here talking about it, Pinkie said, or we could knock on the door and ask. That's the most sense any pony has made since this morning, Rarity said, fanning herself with her hoof. If you think it's such a good idea, why don't you do it? Rarity froze, wishing she hadn't said anything. Well, you see. Don't tell us you're scared. Rainbow Dash laughed. I'm not scared. I just think it'll be more appropriate if Applejack did the honors. If you don't want to knock, you don't have to, Twilight assured. We'll just ask some pony else. Yeah, it's okay to admit you're a coward, Rainbow Dash said, before receiving an elbow to the side. Ow. No, I'll do it, Rarity said, if not only to show Rainbow Dash I'm entirely capable of knocking on a door. Rarity trotted to the door with her head up. She stopped in front the door and politely knocked. She smiled triumphantly and turned to her friends. See, I'm not Dash. She didn't even get the chance to finish her sentence. The door swung open and a shovel slammed against the back of her head. She fell to the floor motionless. Holding the other end of the shovel was a strange bipedal creature. Rarity! Applejack shouted as she rushed the creature. She spun around and bucked with all her might. The creature tried to block the blow with its shovel. But as the hit connected, the shovel snapped in half, throwing the creature to the floor. Ah, that was my favorite shovel, it said. Applejack tried to attack once more, but Twilight's hoof managed to stop her. Wait, Applejack. I think it's trying to speak. Too late now. Rainbow yelled as she charged it. The creature jumped to its feet and smacked her with its mallet. As Rainbow was sent sprawling to the ground, the creature dashed toward Applejack for revenge. Come and get it. Applejack yelled, winding up another kick. With amazing agility, the creature sidestepped her buck. It returned the favor by giving Applejack a devastating hit to the head with its mallet. She immediately fell down unconscious. Twilight had to do something. She started charging a tranquilizing spell to calm this thing down. The creature noticed this and grabbed a glob of butter out of thin air. She almost completed the spell when butter covered her whole face. It somehow rendered her unable to cast spells. Wadash! The creature punched Twilight's butter-covered face, throwing her to the floor. Before it could blink, Rainbow Dash tackled the creature and threw it into the window. The creature staggered out the door, covered in glass. Okay, that hurt. Rainbow Dash, without a moment to lose, kicked its leg. The creature cried out in pain as it crumbled to the ground. Rainbow Dash flew back a bit. Yes. How do you like that? In a swift motion, the creature threw its mallet and hit Rainbow square on the forehead. Rainbow Dash crashed to the floor and was out cold. Before it could pick up its mallet, something splattered all over its face. Hey, stop hurting my friends. Pinkie Pie warned, holding 2 more cakes. You don't want me to throw this again. The creature wiped its face, quite baffled. Oh, so you want to play it that way, huh? 2 globs of butter appeared in its hands. The 2 glared at each other, daring their opponent to throw. They stood there for a while until Pinkie cried, "Food fight." Both pelted each other with unhealthy food. Fluttershy looked in horror at what the thing had done. All her friends fought bravely, but she just stood there scared. She couldn't let this go on any longer than it already has. No, unsalted butter my only weakness, Pinkie said as she was completely covered in butter. Goodbye, cruel world. As the creature picked up its mallet, it heard a loud cry. How dare you? The creature turned and saw Fluttershy right below him, staring directly into its soul. We did nothing wrong to you. Why would you ever attack us, you big mean bully? I can't believe you would just knock out all my friends like that. I want you to apologize. In the middle of her lecture, the creature slowly picked up its mallet. Hey! I'm talking to you. Drop the hammer. Ignoring her, the creature raised its mallet. Without further hesitation, Fluttershy used her stare. Her eyes pierced the creature's soul, injecting fear into its veins. The creature then dropped its mallet onto the ground. Good, now apologize. It immediately reached behind its back and tossed butter at her face. It then picked up its mallet and swung. Right before the hit connected, there was a purple flash, and all the ponies disappeared. You know, maybe I should have stayed inside, I mumbled. I limped back to the house and opened the door. I really hoped that my leg wasn't broken. I barely had anything to treat it. I sat on a chair and began massaging my leg. From what I could tell, it wasn't that badly damaged. Thank goodness. I took a finger and ran it through the icing on my face. I then stuck it in my mouth. It was actually pretty good. I continued to lick my hands as I walked to the sink to wash off the cake. But as I turned the knob, nothing came out. That's right, I have no water either. I reached for some paper towels and began to clean up. For some reason, these ponies are a lot different than the ones I fought earlier. And a lot tougher. For some reason, they seemed a lot smarter as well. It kinda looked like they were trying to talk to me. Too bad I couldn't understand them. I had a hunch that this would not be the last time I'd see them, so I had to defend myself for next time. I took a seed packet from my drawer and removed a seed from it. I then threw it down in front of my house. From the seed, grew a happy sunflower. Time to start garden my house. The sunflower face-leafed. Twilight was shrouded in complete darkness. The last few minutes were a blur. She recalled fighting a strange creature with her friends, but that was it. She tried to remember what came next, but it hurt to think about it. Slowly, she began to regain her senses. She felt a firm bed beneath her as well as a soft pillow at her head. Had she been dreaming? Had that whole adventure been nothing but an illusion created by her subconscious? If so, why did she feel an intense pain throbbing in her forehead? Beyond the darkness, came a soft voice. The voice resonated in Twilight's head, giving her a slight headache. She tried to make out what it was saying, but it was difficult. It gradually grew louder and even became deafening. She realized the voice was calling her name. Soon, it was becoming clearer to who was calling her. Pinkie. Slowly, Twilight opened her eyes as the bright light came in. The light dimmed as a pink blur formed. Twilight, hey Twilight, wake up. Gah! Twilight cried as she sprung to life. Ugh, finally, said Pinkie Pie, I thought you were never gonna wake up. Fluttershy, who was sitting right beside Pinkie, lit up when she saw Twilight. Nurse, she's waking up. Where am I? Twilight asked. You're in the hospital, Nurse Redheart calmly replied, walking into the room. From what your friends told me, you were all attacked by a monster in the Everfree. It knocked you unconscious. I remember that, Twilight said, rubbing her head. A cloth was wrapped around her injury. But how did we escape? Well, Fluttershy said, I was confronting the creature when we were suddenly teleported. We were all back at the entrance of the forest. I assume you had woken up because you collapsed behind me. Since you didn't respond to my voice, I ran and got help. Soon, a couple of nurses followed me back and took you in. I woke up after that, Pinkie Pie added with a smile. So, the others are here too? Twilight asked. Redheart nodded. But they may be still unconscious. Like you, they took a nasty blow to the head. Though I'm sure all they need is some rest and they'll be up and running by tomorrow. Twilight sighed in relief. Good. Nurse Redheart continued, but you're not any different, princess. After your friends leave, I'd advise you to take a long nap. Yeah, but after that, Pinkie Pie said, pulling a long list out of nowhere, we could throw a get-well party. Or if you're feeling better by that time, it'll be renamed to an I'm doing fine party. In fact, we could host it in your room, Twilight. Nurse Redheart turned to Pinkie. What? Oh, I'm sure the doctor wouldn't mind, Pinkie said, waving a hoof. We could invite Applejack, Rarity, and Dash, too. No, we could invite every pony in the hospital. We might have to take down some of these walls so they could all fit. As Pinkie Pie rambled, Twilight sank into her pillow and thought. Now that her memory was returning, so much was on her mind. But mainly, it was about the creature. Fluttershy noticed Twilight's silence and spoke up. Is there something wrong, Twilight? Oh, sorry, just thinking, Twilight replied. Pinkie stopped and jumped into the conversation. About what? Well, I can't get my mind off of the thing that attacked us. It seemed somewhat intelligent. Not like the manticores and timberwolves of the forest. And to think that yellow substance was able to cancel my spell. It's just so mind-boggling. Gold is the only thing known to counter magic. Well duh, that's why it threw butter at you. But only gold can cancel magic. I know, butter. Twilight shook her head. Let's drop the subject. Have you seen Spike while I've been unconscious? I believe this is a matter that needs Princess Celestia's attention. Suddenly, the door burst open as Spike barged in. Sorry I took so long, he huffed. Ah, good, you're here. Twilight said, clapping her hooves. Nurse, can you get me a quill and paper? No problem, she said before leaving. Spike took a few deep breaths before speaking. What happened? Spike, there's no need to be alarmed. I'm all right. No, where's Rarity? Twilight frowned. Thanks a lot. She and the others are safe, Fluttershy assured. Really? Where are they? Later, Spike, Twilight said, right now I need to send a letter. Celestia lied in the comfort of her room, reading a book. She was interrupted when a small cloud of smoke entered her window. As it approached, the smoke disappeared, leaving a neatly rolled letter at its end. After catching the letter with her magic, Celestia unrolled it and read aloud. Dear Princess Celestia. This morning, a strange red tornado formed in the Everfree forest. My friends and I went to investigate the remains and found a large house deep within the forest. As we knocked on the door, a bipedal creature opened it and attacked us. We managed to escape with minor wounds, but we are okay. I believe the creature that attacked us may have intelligence, but I'm not too sure. I've never encountered a situation like this and I thought you should know about it. A red tornado? Celestia said, astonished. It can't be. Celestia dropped the letter and opened a drawer beside her. From it, she levitated a blank sheet of paper, some ink, and a quill. Without any delay, she began to write. My dear Twilight. I wish you had told me sooner. I will send a group of guards to take it down and bring it into custody. If this thing is really intelligent, we must seek its motives. If you can, describe every aspect of the creature in detail that we may locate it. But before we contain this creature, don't allow any pony to enter the Everfree forest. Celestia sent her message and waited anxiously for a response. A few minutes passed and another letter flew towards her. She immediately opened it and read. Dear Princess Celestia. As I mentioned in the previous letter, the creature is bipedal and lives in a house. It also wears clothes very similar to our own. Actually, its clothing was my first hint of its intelligence. Furthermore, the creature's arms, legs, and face are bare. It has a mane resembling that of a male pony. The creature attacked us with tools you might find in a shed, a shovel and a big mallet. But strangely enough, it had the ability to spawn a strange, magic-nullifying substance. I'd go into more detail, but the nurses insist that I get some rest. I hope this was helpful. With a sigh of relief, Celestia lowered the letter. You there, she called to a nearby guard. Yes, Your Majesty, he said. Didn't I hear Shining Armor was in the area? Fetch him for me, I have a mission for him. We're back in business. A sunflower cheered as she was planted next to 5 others. As the sunflowers glowed, miniature suns fell to the ground. Barry collected the suns with a gun-like machine and planted a pea shooter. Okay zombies, he said, get ready to be defeated. Please pea shooter, Sunflower said, you're starting to sound like Barry. A cabbage pult, followed by 2 sunflowers and another pea shooter, were planted next. Soon, a good amount of plants guarded the whole front house. Sunflowers filled the back row. Cabbage pults made up the second and third. Pea shooters stood in the fourth and fifth. And walnuts were in front. Barry had time, so he started planting defenses in the back of the house. I can't put my finger on it, Pea shooter said, but something is off about our lawn. Sunflower rolled her eyes. You mean, besides it being 2 times bigger and surrounded by a forest? Yeah, besides those. Did we move or something? Cabbage Pult asked. I never understood why we lived next to a graveyard during a zombie apocalypse. Sunflower turned to look at the house. Pretty sure this is the same house, but then how did we get here? Time travel, another pea shooter suggested. But Penny isn't here. And you'd think she would be, considering she is the time machine. Pea shooter shrugged. Maybe Barry rented a helicopter and moved the house to a safer place. A dark forest is a safe place. Cabbage Pult said. But then again, who am I to question Barry's reasoning? Maybe we could just ask Barry and stop guessing, Walnut said. I'm sure he knows what's going on. Please no, Cabbage Pult groaned. The fact that we can understand him but not vice versa makes it annoying, exasperating even. It's hard enough just asking him for some fertilizer. Would you rather be left in the dark for the rest of the day? Sunflower asked. Why not? If it helps, I nominate Pea shooter as the one asking. Since he knows him longest, said another Cabbage Pult. What? No, yelled Pea shooter. Wait, which one of us? All the pea shooters turned left until they all stared at the one at the end. Come on guys. I don't want to ask him. Sorry, you're outvoted. But dash. Before he finished, Barry walked up, having just finished planting the army behind. Hey plants, I just told the others in the back where we are. So basically we were whisked away by a magical tornado and landed in this forest, I guess. Oh, and small horses are trying to kill me. That's all. The plants blinked as their owner strolled back into the house. I like the time travel theory better. Captain Armor, are you sure this is the right place? A guard asked. It was implied that there was only one creature. I see an army of these strange plants. Shining Armor and his crew hid among the bushes and spied what they thought was their target. Shining Armor's eyes fell upon the bipedal creature entering the house. I'm sure the one Princess Celestia wants is the creature that just walked inside. We should be allowed to dispose of these other things. Do you think we can? Another guard said, unsure. It looks like we're slightly outnumbered. Come on now, they're just plants. What are they going to do, shoot vegetables at us? We have our swords, our shields, our spears, and nothing to fear. 10 seconds later. Ugh. I'm down. The guards struggled to keep their shields up as it was pelted with peas. The lobbed cabbages forced the Pegasi to the ground with their continuous fire. Even if they got close enough, the giant walnuts made it impossible to venture further. More incoming. Nothing to fear, he said, a guard grumbled. They're just plants, he said. Just hold your shield up, soldier. Shining armor ordered, ducking under an incoming pea. Suddenly, a loud sputo exploded through the area, followed by a sharp cry. He shot a look at the back and saw several guards on the floor, bruised and wounded. Before he could do anything, a speeding pea found its way directly between his comrade's eyes. His head was violently thrown back as he fell unconscious. Shining armor tried to help, but the constant fire on his shield proved it impossible. Shining's horn began to glow. I'm creating a shield every pony. Soon, a purple force field covered the guards. Veggies dashed upon the construct, gradually creating cracks. Protect the fallen, bring them to the back. Hurry. They followed as ordered and dragged their friends back. Shining began pushing his partner to safety. As he did, he stumbled across a metal stick with a red ball on it. Before he could react, it began to rise. The dirt separated and revealed a large potato under it. That doesn't look good, he acted quickly and threw the wounded pony aside, right before the plant blew up. Sputo. Captain. Shining flew back, his armor completely obliterated. Everything seemed to slow. All the guards turned to see their captain lying motionlessly on the ground. The sounds of battle dulled as the magic shield deteriorated. A brave unicorn took control. Unicorns. Create another shield. I'll save the captain. A second shield formed overhead and a few guards rushed to help. They circled their captain as one check for his heartbeat. He's still alive, but barely. We must retreat immediately. No, we must avenge the captain, another guard said. You can teleport yourself and as much wounded as you can. We will defeat these plants. Hurry, we can't hold this shield for long, the other unicorn said. The unicorn began to argue, but a glowing leaf outside the shield caught their attention. The leaf floated from the house and made its way on one of the pea-firing plants. As it touched, the plant was engulfed in a bright light and a war helmet appeared on its head. It rapidly fired peas by the hundred, causing the force field to instantly shatter. Ugh, the unicorns cried. Go now, the guards yelled. The unicorn reluctantly nodded his head in charging the spell. Good luck. After that, he and the wounded were gone. But as soon as they teleported, for more leaves powered up the pea-firing plants. As the light covered them, they aimed and fired. Celestia and Luna sat waiting for word about the creature. They waited for a few hours until Luna began to get impatient. Why are they taking so long? Luna asked. If it were my night guards, they would have captured this creature under an hour. Perhaps, Celestia said, but I'm sure they're on their way now. Though, I can't say I know why you're trying to capture this creature. We could easily leave it where it is. Celestia shook her head. No, we can't. Don't you remember the last time a foreign bipedal creature magically appeared in Equestria? I don't know what this thing's motives are, but it can't be good. I think you're just overreacting. Not all strange things come to cause destruction, at least not intentionally. I myself was once no greater than a monster, though I may have denied it. I was convinced I stood with reasonable intentions, I was too blind to realize what I was doing was wrong. So you think I should reason with it? No, I think you should blast it with the elements of harmony as you did me. Maybe send it to the moon, I don't know. Isn't that why they're there, to create peace violently? We can't. We already gave up the elements to the tree of harmony a while ago. Ah yes. What does that tree even do? I'm glad you asked, it dash. At that moment, a royal guard burst through the doors, gasping for breath. He rushed toward the princesses before he lifelessly stumbled to the ground. Message for the princess, he wheezed as he struggled to his feet. Some pony fetch some water for our messenger, Luna ordered. Two nearby guards nodded and brought back a jug filled to the brim with clear water. The messenger savagely drank the container dry and wiped his mouth. Clearing his throat, he told the princess the message. I'm afraid we have good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? Good news, please. We were unable to capture the creature. All but few were slaughtered by an army of plants. Celestia and Luna stared in absolute shock. And the bad news? No, wait, that was the bad news. The good news is that we fought for nearly a whole 10 minutes. How is this good news? Celestia said, getting a little upset. Sorry, Your Majesty, I didn't want to just bring bad news. Another thing, these plants were sowed personally by the creature. Meaning, to get to it, we had to get through the plants. Which, I might add, is impossible. Impossible? Luna scoffed. How could measly plants outdo a bunch of armed guards? Celestia shot an annoyed glare at her sister. If they manage to take out my trained guards, I'm sure they're not as weak as you're making them out to be. Celestia turned back to the guard. Please, how is Captain Shining Armor? Did he survive? Thankfully, yes. Though he was caught in an explosion, the doctors say he'll eventually be alright. Celestia sighed in relief. At least I can be happy about one thing. You've done well in telling us this, guard. You may leave. The guard nodded and silently left. Celestia, Luna said, allow me and my guards to attempt to capture this creature. I won't allow these plants to make a mockery of our kingdom. I don't know, Celestia said, I rather you away from any danger. I've done things like this before, I can handle myself. Plus, with a mighty alicorn fighting along with her trained guards, there won't be any danger. Celestia thought for a while before answering. Fine. Okay, plants, Sunflower said, that battle was horrible. At her remark, the plants burst out in fits of laughter. But their happy expressions faded when they saw that she was indeed serious. She angrily folded her leaves and explained. I mean it. We had no idea what we were doing. But we won, right? Potato Mine said, what does it matter if we understood or not? The plants nodded in agreement, but the sunflower slowly shook her head. You don't get it, we didn't win. The plant food did. Your point being? If we needed to rely so much on plant food, what would happen if we were to run out? No, we should be able to win battles without an excessive use of plant food. That's Barry's problem, Peashooter said. We're just planted somewhere and shoot what's in front of us. But these horses don't seem like they mindlessly walk into our fire. They make a plan, and they act upon it. It seems that if we want to win, we need to pull our own weight. Whoa, you mean we should actually aim? Sunflower stared blankly at the Peashooter. He's kidding, Cabbage Pult assured. But we know little about these horses. How do we fight them? And another thing, Potato Mine said, are we sure these guys are necessarily bad? One risked its life for another. To me, that's pretty heroic. You're just making an excuse so you don't have to work. I guess. But seriously, we need to know more about them. But where are we going to get that kind of information? Asked Sunflower. So, you need information, a voice said. The plants looked around but no one was in sight. Suddenly, they heard a rustling in the bushes. The plants turned and detected two figures parting the thick branches. If so, we're more than willing to share. The plants stared with curiosity at the creatures standing before them. They'd seen a lot of strange things that day, but these two took the cake. They looked like wolves, but they were much bigger. But the most notable thing about them was that they were made entirely of sticks. Peashooter couldn't help but ask, what in the world are you? We're what you'd call a Timberwolf, one said. We couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Cabbage Pult narrowed his eyes. How did you just happen to overhear us? To be honest, we were watching you for some time, the other confessed. But what do you expect? You're not exactly common around here. The first nodded. But whether we were spying or not, your problem still stands. Like I said before, if you need information, we may be able to help. And why should we trust you? Pea Shooter said. You don't have to, but there's no reason why you shouldn't. It's not like we're asking for the keys to your house or anything. If we do decide to take this information, what do you expect in return? Sunflower asked. Nothing at all. We simply saw a possible friend in need and want to help. Sawyer, Cabbage Pult said, excuse us as we talk it over. The plants turned around and huddled. They're definitely spies, Pea Shooter stated. I've never heard of anyone wanting to help someone they just met. They're getting something out of this, we just don't see it. Actually, we help Barry without asking for anything in return, Potato Mine reminded. What makes you think they're not doing the same? We accepted fighting zombies because we thought it was cool. This is entirely different, explained Cabbage Pult. If you want my opinion, we should tell them to go before they get hurt. We could do that, Sunflower said. But if we do that we might be chasing away our only chance to learn more of our enemy. If these horses attack, we could be vulnerable to the unknown. And considering we have no lawnmowers, we can't afford that. If, might, could. Are you sure you're not being paranoid? I'm not being paranoid. That is a perfectly reasonable outcome. And to avoid it, we're going to have to trust them, Potato Mine said. Besides, what will it hurt? Well, if I'm right, Pea Shooter said, and they're spies, they could try to learn our strategy. Maybe even feed us false information. Then we'll most certainly lose our next fight. We could ask them questions about the horses we already know, then. If they answer falsely, they either have a bad source, or they're liars. That idea might have worked, but we don't know anything about those horses, Sunflower said. Oh yeah. At this point, trusting them seems riskier than turning them down. We could just ask them if they're lying, a Walnut suggested. The plants turned and stared at Walnut. No, seriously, this could work. Walnut twisted himself around. Hey, I'm Spruce, the first Timberwolf said. My brother here is Oak. Okay Spruce, will you guys lie to us? Spruce placed a paw on his chest as if offended. Of course not. Walnut turned back to his friends. See? How could you argue with that? The plants were silent. Good enough for me, Pea Shooter finally said. Me too, Sunflower agreed. I guess I could go with that, Cabbage Pult admitted. Same here, Potato Mine said. Fantastic. Oak cried. Let's begin with your names. That information is on a need-to-know basis, Pea Shooter said. And you don't need to know. Okay, Spruce said. So the animals you were fighting are an intelligent species called ponies. Quick question, Potato Mine said. Are these ponies evil or something? We don't enjoy killing something that isn't already dead unless they deserve it. Maybe you don't like it, Cabbage Pult said, but I don't mind. If Barry tells us to do it, we will. Potato Mine rolled his eyes. Just answer the question, Spruce. Spruce thought it over for a while. First of all, they attacked the gardener. That makes them hostile. It could have been a misunderstanding, Walnut said. Other humans here could have mistreated them. Spruce shook his head. TSK, you poor naive soul. The truth is, they hate other species. It's as simple as that. Pea Shooter looked doubtful. What makes you say that? Maybe this story will shed some light. Once a dragon decided to settle down in a cave somewhere miles away from a pony-filled town. Like most, this dragon was able to talk, think, and learn. The ponies weren't excited about the idea of a wild animal near their town. But remember, the dragon was miles away. So the ponies agreed to take care of him and set off toward the mountain. Despite the dragon already filling his cave with its money, they forced him out. And it was only because he was different. Really? Of course really. Oak exclaimed, but that's just the tip of the iceberg, another time a zebra dash. Okay, we get the picture, Sunflower interrupted. Though hating other species doesn't deserve a penalty of death. You still haven't given us a valid reason why they're evil. Haven't I? Spruce shouted. Sunflower backed up at the Timberwolf's sudden outburst. Obviously, you don't understand at all. We are like filth under their hooves to them. Our families were murdered because they deemed us inferior. Hate is an understatement to what those creatures feel about us. Okay, They've enslaved nature. They fence up sapient pigs for no reason whatsoever. They're trying to take over this world by taking control of everything else. They took over the weather. They conditioned animals so that they can't take care of themselves. They won't allow anything to grow without them knowing of it. This forest is the only place safe from their cruel ways. Oak is the only family I have left to protect. Spruce's face started dripping with tears. From childhood, we searched vainly to find someone brave enough to fight back. When we saw you plants easily trumping them in battle, we were filled with such joy. Spruce couldn't control himself, he started to sob like a little child. The plants looked at each other, feeling pretty terrible. Oak comforted his brother. Don't worry, soon it'll all be all over. Yeah, Walnut agreed, we'll put a stop to this. No more will the ponies treat you like sticks. Pea Shooter face leafed. Poor choice of words. A weak smile spread across Spruce's face. Thank you. But before we could do anything, Sunflower said, we need information. Spruce took a moment to compose himself. Good idea, but let's begin with your traits and abilities. It'll be easier to tell you how you can improve than to spew out knowledge. That's reasonable, Sunflower said, let's start with my abilities. Luna trotted down a stony pathway in shiny silver armor. It had been centuries since she'd been in a battle like this. Still, she was as confident as ever. After a talk with some of the injured guards, she had a good idea of what her opponents looked like and how to take them out. Actually, she had quite a bit of fun strategizing and organizing. She slowed her pace as she arrived at a field filled with her specially trained night guards. They wielded swords, shields, crossbows, and spears. Much like the first band of guards who attacked, but much more planned out. As the guards realized her presence, they stood at attention and waited for orders. At ease, Luna commanded. One of the higher night guards trotted toward her and bowed. I did everything you asked. Each shield is enchanted to be more durable. On top of that, we gathered more than 100 trained guards. Good, that will be all for now. The guard nodded and joined his comrades. As the guard left, Celestia walked up and greeted her. Hello, sister. Celestia, you came. Does this mean you'll fight with us as well? Celestia's smile faded. I'm afraid not. I already invited some griffins to dinner and a serious discussion. They have been starting some trouble at the Horseshoe Bay, you see. 'Tis a shame, I really hoped we could do this together. Just like old times. Celestia chuckled. Yes, just like old times. But don't you think it's reasonable to do this another day? I feel attacking tonight is rushing things too much. Maybe, but I won't be able to rest until I personally bring this creature down as soon as I can. This shame it brought upon the kingdom is too great to last much longer. It's not that bad, Equestria has been conquered before. Not by plants, sister. Before Celestia could argue more, a royal guard trotted up to Celestia. Excuse me, your highness, but we have to go now. Ah yes, I almost forgot. Celestia outstretched her wings. I wish good luck to you, sister. Luna waved goodbye and turned to attend to her army. A few hours later. And that's basically it, Sunflower ended. That was long, Oak groaned. I'll take that as a compliment, Peashooter said. Now how can we use all that to our advantage? First of all, Spruce started, I couldn't remember most of what you said. What? Why didn't you interrupt us or dash? Second, I'm pretty sure I could just give you a basic idea on what you're doing. Then you could discuss more complex strats on your own. Sunflower frowned. I still think you should have said something earlier. Oak rolled his eyes. What was your first attack strategy anyways? Oh, we just sort of shoot the guy in front of us, Peashooter explained. Don't forget, we also shoot off one of their limbs first. Then we go for headshots, Cabbage Pult added. Oak burst out laughing, but then his smile slowly faded. Oh, you're serious. Peashooter started to get mad. What's wrong with our strategy? Oh, nothing. Spruce assured, it's the perfect strategy if you were fighting zombies. I mean, you have to admit, that plan sounds terrible. Sunflower folded her leaves. I'm not even going to comment. What do you suggest? This is an ancient technique that is rarely seen in most battles, but can conquer wars. What is it? Spruce looked around as if to make sure no one was listening. It's a thing called prioritizing your targets. Sunflower placed a leaf on her chin. This intrigues me. Please, go on. They are 3 groups of ponies, Spruce continued, earth ponies, Pegasi, and unicorns. Half of you will aim for the Pegasi, the ponies with wings. The other half will take on the unicorns, the ponies with horns. We got the Pegasi. Cabbage Pult announced. So that leaves us with the unicorns, Peashooter said. A tip to help those who fight the Pegasi, keep them from the clouds. When they latch onto one, they can control the weather. Meaning they can form blizzards and shoot lightning. Those who fight the unicorns, aim for the horn, they can't use magic if you hit them. Wait, Sunflower interrupted, who aims for the third group, the earth ponies? Spruce thought for a second. They're pretty much useless, just hit them when they get too close. At that moment, Barry walked out the house with his shovel. He paused immediately after seeing the stick creatures. Ha, Timberwolves. Cool. Barry continued his work and raised his shovel in the air. He proceeded to dig up one of the peashooters. As he did, the plants were engulfed in light and shrunk down into something that seemed to be 2 small suns. Barry took out his gun-shaped device and absorbed it. Whoa, what is he doing to you guys? Oak asked a little concerned. You could say he's refreshing us, Sunflower explained. When we stay out too long, we get tired and won't fight to our fullest. He may replant us, or he might mix it up and replace us. So different plants come and take your place, right? Sometimes, yes. Don't forget to tell them the new strategy, Spruce reminded. If not, this conversation would be pointless. Don't worry, he usually doesn't replace me. Spruce, we have to go. Now, Oak urged. Oh yes, I remember. Spruce waved goodbye as they both ran back into the forest. Good luck guys, they cried as they disappeared into the darkness. The plants waved back. Thanks for your help. The Timberwolves ran deeper into the forest. You think we're out of hearing range? Oak huffed. I think so, yes, Spruce answered. They both stopped and grinned. They were so gullible. Yeah, they devoured your "lost my family" story. Good fake tears, by the way. Now they will attack with no reservations. Thanks, the boss will be so pleased when we tell him we succeeded. Like every night, Luna lifted the moon over the horizon. She stood proudly on the balcony of the castle as she did so. Thanks to the moon's soft glow, Luna was able to spot 3 night guards flying toward Canterlot. She opened her wings and flew out to greet them. When seeing their princess approaching, the night guards landed and bowed at her presence. Guards, what did you find? Luna asked as she followed them to the ground. We've scouted out the Everfree and we've located the house, as you asked, one said. And? It's not good news. We've spotted the plants associating with the Timberwolves. We don't know what they were doing, but we doubt it's any good. Yes, that may be a problem, but I'm sure we can manage. Maybe, but I didn't finish. The creature also swamped its plants with mushrooms. If we were to attack now, we would have no clue what we're dealing with. Luna paused, quite surprised at the sudden turn of events. That does change everything. For a while, Luna remained silent, trying to figure out what to do next. Come, let us share the news with the others. Later Luna and the scouts flew towards the company of the night guards. As they landed, the guards lined up in attention and waited for Princess Luna to speak. Every pony! Luna yelled. Tonight's battle has become more complicated than we thought. The Timberwolves are now being involved, so in mid-fight, we'll surely be ambushed. Not only that, but the creature has switched his plans. Our strategy now is useless. I believe it's clear what we should do. All the guards nodded in agreement. We should fight harder than ever if we want to overcome these plants tonight. Surprise and confusion rippled through the crowd. What? The scout said. You still want to do this? Luna glared at the scout. I mean, of course, Your Highness. You all may not think you're capable of winning, but I know we can do this. We can't let this monster scare us with some measly alliances or just switching plans. You are the proud Night Guards of Equestria. What the Royal Guards can do, you could do better. The guards' confidence rose slightly, but they were still skeptical. All we need to do is alter our strategy a bit, and this monster will be on his knees begging for mercy. If you want to stay behind, raise your hooves. Just be prepared to face my wrath. No one would dare raise their hoof, even if they wanted to leave. Good, now listen up. Barry stretched his arms out and yawned. After finishing replacing his plants, he was dead tired. He leaned against the house and reflected on his choice of plants. There was one row of sunflowers and another of sunshrooms. For range, he planted 3 rows of scaredy shrooms. There were 2 rows of fume shrooms with pumpkins around them. And finally, puff shrooms were scattered everywhere. Okay shrooms, I'm going to take a quick nap, Barry said. If we're attacked, the sounds of battle would wake me up, probably. The plants watched him walk into his house and, as always, forget to close the door. Sometimes, I think he does that on purpose, a fume shroom said. Right, Scaredy? No answer was returned. Scaredy shroom. The mushrooms turned to find all the scaredy shrooms hiding in their caps. Scaredy shroom, are you okay? A sun shroom asked. The zombies aren't even here yet. I know, a scaredy shroom whispered. It's just the forest is really spooky looking. Scary forest? Puff shroom said. What forest? Oh, it dawned on the mushrooms that they weren't on Barry's usual lawn. How did we get here? Yeah, I meant to mention that, Sunflower said. In fact, that's probably the reason Barry replanted me. Go on. According to Barry, we were taken here by a tornado. While he was here, he was attacked by colorful ponies. So you have nothing to be afraid of, Scaredy Shroom. Maybe you'll do better without me, Scaredy Shroom suggested. I just mess up and get in the way. Dude, they're ponies, a pumpkin said, there's no reason to be afraid. Ponies are vegetarians, and that's plenty reason to be afraid. Ugh, Sunflower said. Can you talk to him, Balloon Shroom? Fume Shroom stood agape at what Sunflower just called him. Sunflower quickly realized her mistake. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. No, it's okay, Fume Shroom said, trying to hide away his pain. I didn't mind. Sunflower mouthed another sorry and continued. Let me just finish before I make more of a mess. We're having a change of strategy. Luna and her company of night guards glided over Ponyville and toward the Everfree. The shadows cast over the rooftops of the small homes. Anyone of that town would have panicked had not they already been informed of their passing by. Each of the guards wielded a crossbow and had a small shield strapped to their arm. As they reached the forest, they continued to fly over until they were instructed to land. A couple of yards ahead is the creature's house. And be cautious, we don't know when a Timberwolf might ambush us, one of the scouts warned. Luna nodded and pressed forward. Even though she was the only one without night vision, she walked ahead of everyone else. This bravery made her guards even more confident. At least it made some. I still can't believe the princess is still going with this mission, a guard whispered to the scout. We could all die out here if we're not paying close enough attention. The scout exhaled heavily. I'm no fan of this idea either. But she's the princess. Even still, I think if we stick with this new plan we could win. Yeah, what was the plan again? The scout groaned and continued to look ahead. Hey, don't blame me. This sudden change left most ponies confused. Luna named 25 guards to strictly guard our flanks from Timberwolf ambushes. In the meantime, the rest would be fighting the plants. I hope you remember which one you're doing. Yeah, I'm the one fighting the plants. Good, now as you fire at the plants with your crossbow, Princess Luna will guard us with a giant magic shield. We know the shield will break sooner or later, but we'll be prepared. When it does, the princess will flash a bright light with her horn, blinding the plants. That's our cue to swiftly but silently take to the skies. Before the plants know where we are, the princess will create another magic shield. Princess Luna will draw their fire and will be able to easily pick them off. Ah, okay, thanks. The scout nodded and trotted ahead to Luna. Your Highness, we're approaching the house, he said pointing ahead. Luna strained her eyes to see what he was pointing at. She was able to detect a small light. Positions every pony, Luna ordered. The guards moved into position and waited for the command to fight. They slowly crept toward the house until they could go no more without being spotted. Alright every pony, charge. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 2. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author 111 Sega Sonic on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video, till then goodbye.